We are so fortunate to have with us this morning Patrick Gut from Adlook, which is an incredible company. I'd say about, 3 months ago, I got an email from you.
Yep.
You were like, I've heard all about this AdNet Zero thing. What are you all about? We had a great conversation, and you told me a thing or two about some of the initiatives that you guys are working on, which are awesome and groundbreaking and highly sustainable. So again, there are companies out there that are taking big first steps in this journey, and I think it's a great opportunity to hear, from the front lines, some of the good things that are doing, but also some of the challenges that you're facing and some of the opportunities, of course. So first of all, we've had some news here this week, or you've had some news this week. I'm aware of it, obviously, given that I'm with AdNet Zero, but why don't you give the audience just a quick update on the exciting news and some of the innovation that you've been driving forward with.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. John, appreciate the intro. My name is Patrick. Like John said, I lead the U.S. business for Adlook. Adlook is a DSP. We're a cookieless DSP, and we're built around sustainable brand growth. When I started at Adlook in August, we just officially released in the U.S. out of beta, out of invite only last week, 2 weeks ago at this point. Sustainability had only one definition in August, and that was to enable your brand to grow sustainably over time. Since then, we've had many conversations. You and I have chatted, and we thought through, is there another prong of sustainability where we're talking about sustainable brand growth is also taking emission and the planet into consideration? And so what we've done, our DSP, and actually it's interesting, for those on the, watching, we just talked about Tony Katzer, right? You were speaking to him about AI. We are an AI company. We are a algorithm first. We process unstructured data. We're set up to enable brands and consumers to connect, and we take as many signals as we can to make a decision. A product we've just launched is GreenPath. GreenPath enables us to essentially, what we're doing is querying the Scope 3 database, the currency for right now emission data, and that is being queried in real time, and we're optimizing the actual supply path of an impression served to make sure it is taking the lowest carbon emitting impression. So what we heard from our clients as we were kicking all these processes off is everyone agrees with sustainability, right? You're not going to be in a room like this or watching and the heads are not going to be nodding. The question is, how do you translate it to actionability? And so what we've done is there's one button in literally as the trader is going in, you click one button and that's it. It's enabled, it runs. The other part that we heard is people seem to think that there is a either or conversation when it comes to performance and sustainability, right? And what we decide to do in order to evoke more action for brands is to remove that to make it a yes and conversation. So our DSP guarantees performance on every single campaign, fully transparent, and when the trader goes in, they set up the campaign based on the worst possible outcome it can achieve. So it won't deviate from your brand growth KPIs, and then you click the sustainability piece, and that's where we're really seeing a lot of action is, ideally, when you think about, I think in Venn diagrams. One circle of performance, one circle in sustainability. Performance alone can often be capitalistic. We have all the MFAs. They've learned how to game the systems very well. Sustainability on its own is idealistic. When you overlay the two, we found that brands actually take action. And that's where we have responsible investment coming from. We're actually going to preview some results later today. Tony was talking about, do we have KPIs? Well, yes, we're going to be launching, announcing with IPG Media Brands, some of the case studies we did about how well you perform and how much less carbon you emit. So we're really excited about it. And I think from a actionable perspective, it's, if we can guarantee the performance and a brand can grow and they can say, yes, and I want performance and sustainability, there's no reason not to.
It sounds like it's a pretty powerful offering, and obviously as you run the playbook on this thing, as you work towards those KPIs and you demonstrate results, obviously you've heard this, I've heard this, transparency, accountability, optics, clear line of sight, all come into play. How are you measuring up in that area?
Yeah, so we're first thing when I came through, I remember at CES, I probably had 30 conversations around sustainability, right? And I went back to our corporate team and I said, hey, this is a real thing. What is our game plan? Is our house in order before we start talking about things? Of course, Patrick, here's our sustainability playbook, net neutral by 2030. We run on all renewable energy, right? So the fact that we're processing 2,500 times more data than machine learning but we're doing it on renewable energy and OCP compliant hardware means the efficiency is really fantastic, right? And so I was like, great, our house is in order. So now we can bring our tech to enable the advertisers to take action on it, right? From my perspective, a DSP is about actionability. I don't want to measure anything, right? I don't want to be the currency on anything. I want to take the metrics that matter to brands and enable them to take action on it. And so from our perspective is, scope 3 is right now the currency. There's other measurement partners that are coming in the space on what metrics and signals they want to use to measure sustainability. Great, we will integrate those too. And our goal is to enable brands to take action on the metrics that they want. Simple as that. And so I think going back to your question on accountability and transparency is we're as transparent as you can be on every single aspect of it, because if you're not transparent, like the digital ecosystem, unfortunately, has a bad rap because of a lot of lack of transparency. So if we're gonna do sustainability right, if you're not transparent, you're already starting way behind where we should be, right? So the transparency thing is key.
Especially in building that foundation with a new company.
Yes.
As a relatively new company that has a lot of acceleration and momentum, partnership obviously has to be key, right? Yes. So how's that going? Who are you collaborating with, and where are some of your strongest partnerships?
Yeah, so from a partnership perspective, I came on and started in August, right? And the first thing that we did is, if we're gonna make our DSP actionable, we need to have the integrations that matter. And so we went through, we're partnered with ComScore, Kantar, Nielsen. We integrated Scope 3 data, Adelaide data, Moat, IAS, Double Verify, across the board, all the partnerships that make sense in order for brands, because it's not our job to dictate who someone's going to use. It's our job to enable them to use who they want in the most efficient and effective manner. We've had strong uptake. Again, I'm going to talk about the IPG Media Brands case studies later today. That the brands are, I appreciate the partnerships of a lot of these holding companies that are being pre-competitive right now, talking about how they should be partnering together and just in terms of knowledge sharing on that front. But IPG has really leaned in. Martin Bryan's been a great partner of ours, and we continue to see growth and acceleration there.
That is awesome. Now, again, as a relatively new company with a lot of acceleration, and one of your personal brand qualities that I've noticed with this guy is you have a restless energy about you. You're constantly stirring the pancake batter so it doesn't like coagulate, you know what I mean?
Can't.
So in the spirit of that, like, as you look out toward knocking down further barriers and seizing on other opportunities, like, where's your focus right now in terms of what's next?
Yeah, so when I think about advertising, and I used to be at Nielsen before, I ran a division of their business, and it was, at that point it was about enabling brands to transact, right? At the end of the day, the purpose of advertising is to drive consumer behavior change and make money. Like, you can't get away from making money, right? And so the way that you make money is that a brand makes money is by being able to connect and engage properly with their consumers. Our job is to facilitate that, and in the most sustainable way possible. And so some of the things that we're working on collectively in next steps and further out is, one is scaling adoption of GreenPath. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. The next part is, what is another metric? How can we actually look at evolving how we think about sustainability? And this is, people will have their opinions on this. Impressions don't buy products, people do. So maybe we shouldn't be looking at carbon per impression. Maybe we should be looking at carbon per unique reach, carbon per user. Can we get that data integrated into Mix, which is the holy grail of every advertiser? So you're looking at Scope 3 data, or whatever the currency partner is, right, in the Nielsen or IRI mix, and so that there's not a question of, is this ROI affected by it or not, right? Let's take it down to the reach and frequency of consumers buying. So I'm going to be advocating and pushing for that, so we can have a further, if we look at the Venn diagram, I want a larger and larger overlap between sustainability and performance, and anything we could do to do that, we're going to be trying to accelerate.